Why do we wait for perfect when progress only needs a beginning, not starting the invisible cake? She woke up late, like always. The to-do list was on the desk, long, neat, untouched. She told herself, I'm really starting tomorrow, but tomorrow didn't show up as usual. Every day, she rewrote the tasks, organized, precise, zero actions. She wanted everything perfect, the conditions, the mood, the plan, the tools, the timing, but none of it was ever perfect. She told her friend, I want to start a new project. I just need to be a bit more prepared. Her friend smiled. You've been getting prepared for a year. She laughed, but it stung. Yeah, a year had passed and she was still in the same spot. On the way home, she caught her reflection in shop windows, a girl who always wanted to start but hadn't. That night, she grabbed her phone. A line from an article by James Clear hit her. Perfection is the enemy of done. She froze. It felt like that line was written for her. She whispered to herself, perfection, the enemy of doing? She stayed up late reading. Another line she jotted down. It's better to start imperfectly than to never start. She smiled. For the first time, being imperfect wasn't a flaw. It was a door. She picked up her notebook and wrote, I want to start, even if it looks stupid. The next day, she opened a new file. A blank page stared back. Her finger hovered, trembling. Her mind said, not now, when you are more ready. She closed her eyes and murmured, being ready is an illusion. She wrote the first sentence, imperfect, rough, unplanned, but real. With each line, the fear shrank. At lunch, she looked at the typo-filled page and smiled. But I wrote, for the first time in a long while, she felt alive. Not because it was great, but because she finally did it. That evening, she told herself, an imperfect start beats a perfect wait. Tape that line on the mirror. Every morning, it stared back at her. She started moving, even if tiny. 5 minutes, 2 sentences, 1 call. Small steps but real ones. She thought maybe success is this, the repetition of imperfects. She smiled at the mirror and said, I finally started, and that alone is a win. Small steps. How being imperfect became the engine of progress. She woke up earlier. Cool air, quiet, a fresh start. She opened her notebook, looked at yesterday's line and laughed. They are awful, but I wrote them. That was enough to keep going. Every day she wrote 10 minutes, no more, no less, but every day. 10 turned to 20, then 40, then an hour. She began seeing change, not in the writing, in herself. She didn't fear starting anymore, because fear only lives at the starting line. She told herself, if I take 1 step a day, where will I be in a year? She didn't calculate, she just smiled and kept going. Sometimes tired, sometimes unmotivated, but she no longer waited for perfect. Her pages were full of mistakes, but every line was proof of growth. Instead of deleting them, she ticked beside them. I'm in my way. A friend said, you've gotten so serious. A year ago, you hadn't even started. She smiled. Yeah, I just started imperfect. She closed the notebook and wrote on the cover, imperfect but in motion. Those messy drafts, they'd become the foundation of something real. She wasn't building perfection, she was building momentum. The courage to continue when failure becomes part of motion. One morning, she didn't feel like doing anything. A blank page in front of her, a mind full of I can't. She picked up her coffee, started for 20 minutes, then wrote, today, I don't feel like writing at all. Then added, but this is still writing. That line got her moving. Slowly, the flow returned. She realized real failure isn't when you can't, it's when you quit. A project failed once, ruined by a small mistake. She cried until midnight, then remembered an imperfect start means you're allowed to start again. She started again. Still hurt but stronger. She wrote, failure is data, a message from reality. Each mistake was a lesson, not a wound. She stopped erasing them. She marked them with experience. Someone asked, how did you keep going after failing? She said, because an imperfect start means I'm allowed to be wrong. I just won't let the wrong end me. That became her motto. She taped it above her desk. Whenever she was tired, she looked at it and began again. She wrote, motivation is a feeling. Commitment is a decision. And she'd made the decision to keep going. Real progress, when being imperfect becomes identity. Morning mirror, messy hair, puffy eyes, confident smile. "This is me," she said, "and that's enough." Her notebook was full of crossouts, but now every page was a badge of growth. She didn't want flawless, she wanted real. A podcast voice said, "Success is becoming the kind of person who can keep going, not the one who does it perfectly." She whispered, "I keep going." Each day, one small thing, one line, one call, one step. Progress wasn't hype anymore. It was presence. She wasn't saying, "I have to get better." She said, "I want to get better." Pressure turned into love. A crash deleted her work. She just said, "No problem, I'll write it again." Her coworker gasped, "How are you so calm?" She smiled, because staying calm is part of the work. She wrote, "When you're disappointed but keep going, that's real progress." She looked back, proud of her scared past self, the one who had the courage to begin. She realized growth isn't a finish line. It's a way of living. The courage to start again, and a nod to the book. A quiet morning, the air smelled like rain. She opened her old notebook, the one she once feared. Messy, crossed out, real. She smiled. "All of it's imperfect, but it's mine." She remembered that first line, "Being ready is an illusion." Now she lived by that. Every day was a start, not perfect, not grand, just real. On her way home, she saw a girl say, "I don't know where to start." She smiled and said, "Start from the sentence you just said." That's how it begins. Always small, always brave. That night she opened a new file again, a blank page, but not scary anymore. She whispered, "A blank page means opportunity, not judgment." She wrote, "Real strength isn't getting up again, not in standing perfectly." Then a book cover popped up, The Power of Imperfect Start, James Clear. She opened it. A line read, "Courage is starting, even when you don't know what comes next." She wrote her last words in a notebook. "I started, I fell, I started again." And that's what life is. Years fell, but she smiled. She closed the notebook, saw her reflection, and whispered, "I'm imperfect, but I'm in motion." She turned off the light, took a deep breath. Everything was the same, but she wasn't the same person anymore. She lay down and said, "Perfection is the enemy of starting," and I finally started.